The morning sun poured through the glass walls of the Harrington corporate tower, turning every polished surface into a sheet of gold. And right in the middle of the blinding, perfect world walked a small 12-year-old girl named Marina Hale, clutching a brown envelope to her chest like it was the last piece of truth she had left in the world. Her backpack straps were frayed. Her shoes were dusted white from long miles of walking, and her breathing trembled with both fear and determination. As she pushed open the doors, dozens of suited employees glanced at her with confused curiosity. But Marina kept moving, her eyes fixed ahead. She had come to return something that didn't belong to her, something she found on a park bench 3 days ago, something that could either be meaningless or could change everything. But what she wasn't prepared for was the laughter that greeted her when she finally stepped into the office of one of the city's richest, most influential men. If you believe kindness still matters and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us spread real stories of hope. Marina had never been inside a place like this. The floor smelled faintly of lemon polish. The air hummed with printers and keyboards, and everyone here looked important, busy, untouchable. The receptionist stared at her for a long moment before pointing the way to a large office at the end of the hall. That was where she found Grant Harrington, the billionaire investor whose face appeared on magazine covers every other month, sitting behind a polished desk with a smile that looked carved rather than felt. His suit was perfect, his hair flawless, his expression dismissive. Marina swallowed her fear and stepped forward, extending the envelope with both hands. It wasn't heavy, but it felt like it weighed her entire world. Inside it was a stack of documents, papers filled with plans, financial details, and personal notes she didn't understand. She only knew one thing. The men whose name was stamped across them deserved to have them back. But Grant Harrington didn't even look at the envelope first. He looked at her, then at his assistant, then leaned back and burst into laughter loud enough to turn heads through the glass wall. His assistant chuckled with him, exchanging glances that made Marina feel smaller than she already was. Grant assumed she was a prank, a distraction, maybe even someone trying to waste his time. Marina's heart squeezed painfully, but she stood her ground. She explained where she found the envelope on an old wooden bench near the Riverside Gardens, how she kept it safe, and how she used her limited school computer access to track down the company address. But every word she said only seemed to amuse him more. Grant waved his hand dismissively as if the whole situation was nothing more than a child's silly game. And in that moment, Marina wished she had never stepped into this cold, gleaming building at all. What Grant didn't know was that Marina's life hadn't been kind. She lived with her grandmother in a tiny apartment where the electricity sometimes flickered and meals were more hope than habit. She used the same backpack for 4 years. She studied by a cracked window that let in winter air. But she still believed in honesty. She believed lost things should be returned even when the world didn't seem to care. The walk to the tower had taken her over an hour, her feet aching by the time she arrived. But she had come anyway because something inside her, something her grandmother always called the voice of good, told her it mattered. As Grant continued laughing, Marina lowered her head, suddenly unsure. Maybe she had misunderstood everything. Maybe the envelope wasn't important. Maybe returning it didn't matter. Maybe the world really didn't care about small acts of goodness. But then the office door opened and a frail older man stepped inside, leaning heavily on a wooden cane. His name was Arthur Linwood, a retired architect who volunteered in city heritage committees. His hair was silver and his glasses sat low on his nose, but his eyes, sharp, intelligent, and weary, immediately fell on the envelope in Marina's hands. Something in his expression shifted. A mixture of recognition, panic, relief. Arthur slowly moved toward her, his cane tapping rhythmically against the floor. He asked her one simple question, and Marina explained everything. The bench, the envelope, the search for the address, the walk here. As she spoke, Arthur's hands trembled. That envelope wasn't just a random set of papers. It contained his original hand-drawn plans for a historical reconstruction project, documents he had poured months into and feared he had lost forever when his briefcase accidentally opened on the bench. Grant's smile evaporated instantly. Arthur turned toward him, not angrily, but with deep disappointment. He explained that Marina had returned something priceless, something that represented years of dedicated work in a heritage project that meant everything to him. The billionaire who had laughed moments ago now looked frozen in place, embarrassed, unable to meet Arthur's eyes. For the first time, Marina saw a flicker of humanity behind Grant's polished exterior, a crack in the perfect mask he wore. Arthur thanked Marina gently, but with a weight of sincerity that made her chest tighten. He asked about her life, her grandmother, her school. And as Marina answered quietly, Grant finally understood just how strong, how brave this young girl actually was. Arthur, moved by Marina's honesty and determination, insisted on rewarding her, not with money, but with opportunity. He offered to support her education, to mentor her in architecture if she ever wished to pursue it, and to stay connected with her grandmother. Grant, feeling the sharp sting of his earlier arrogance, apologized sincerely, not just to Marina, but to Arthur as well. And something changed in the room that Marina couldn't quite explain. It was as if the air softened, warmed, became human again. Grant walked her out of the office personally, a gesture that shocked every employee watching. Marina stepped back into the glowing sunlight with a strange feeling lifting her heart. Something like pride, something like hope. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing. She had done the right thing. And sometimes that was enough to change more than one life. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us reach more people with stories that remind us humanity still exists. Before you go, comment below. Kindness lives on. And with that, Marina walked home under the warm daylight, not knowing that her single act of honesty had set off a chain of kindness that would ripple far beyond anything she could imagine.